When do you think the United States citizen, they started to hate each other?
Yeah,
When was that?
Barack Obama.
How so? The guy is African American.
Yes.
He was supposed to bring you all together. He was supposed to end the racism. And every time I read the news, I read someone's opinion, they say the same thing. We were never as divided as when Obama came in.
We're recording this in the San Fernando Valley. I grew up here just up the street, right? I was born in Philadelphia, came here when we were 7 or 8, whatever it was. Me and my family, my dad was originally from here. And we settled up in Chatsworth. I knew no racism. Now, what I mean by that, obviously, I'm, generic white dude, right? German, Viking, English.
White supremacist, bigot,
well, you know what they call me?
sexist,
They call me, and I used to start my show by saying, Christian, Christo-fascist, Christian nationalist, stochastic terrorist, because that's what they would put online. But I knew. Racism did not exist in my family. It wasn't a thought. Whether you were black or white wasn't a thought. Whether you were Hispanic, Chinese, it wasn't a thought. Who are you as a person? That was it. It was that judge people based on the content of their character, kind of a style and idea, right? Now, I recognize around the country and other places there was active racism existing. People being called names. People being refused service in subtle ways, maybe whatever. People being hateful towards other people because they're different. That will always exist. By the way,
even when you were a kid.
Well, I knew it existed other places, but here it was largely non-existent. Growing up here in the San Fernando Valley, we did not have an active form of racism. In other words, it was dying.
And California has never had the slaves, historically.
That's absolutely right.
What kind of reparations are we talking about?
That's a whole nother silly thing. But because we're not going to be paying people who were never slaves for their
that's like Lithuanians
for their
pay for
injuries when they when they never experienced it. But again, it was largely gone. And then all of a sudden, we went to have racial tension really quick again under Barack Obama's reign. And it was because he came out and did a bunch of those things, like the George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin stuff. George Zimmerman was a neighborhood watchman walking around the neighborhood. This kid, ne'er-do-well kid who happened to be black, causing trouble. Zimmerman followed him. They get into an altercation. Trayvon Martin slamming his head on the concrete. He's on top of him, and Zimmerman shoots the kid and kills him, right? And then Barack Obama comes out, and Barack Obama's like, it could have been my son. My son could have looked like Trayvon Martin. And they fanned the flames, and they called George Zimmerman a racist. George Zimmerman was a Mexican guy, okay? But they made it up like he was this white. I mean, they actually said this white supremacist Mexican. They had titles like that out. So they started to foment that then. All intentional to divide us. So it was a campaign to pull us apart. Because what they started during the Obama administration, and again, all of the seeds of this were sowed many years ago, but they want to break it so that they can remake it in their own image. So that's what all of this stuff has been about, dividing us, letting crime go wild, emptying out our prisons onto the streets. Prop 47 here in California that took a bunch of things that were felonies down to misdemeanors. They put that $950 price tag on shoplifting. All of those sort of things came in for anarcho-tyranny. So anarcho-tyranny, where you prosecute the good people, you let the bad people slide, you create conditions of crime and chaos, and then you pick up the pieces later, but under your authority, right, under this tyrannical regime, because people will eventually trade their freedom for perceived security. And that's what happened in 2020 with all of the lockdowns and stuff. Oh, you guys are scared. You guys need to stay in your home. We're going to put in a fake martial law kind of a thing to make you safe. Oh, yes, sir. Okay, we'll do that.
And I was on the same page with them. I even told my audience, I was doing live events, and I was telling my audience the same thing, stay at home. But when I saw that they say stay at home, but they party,
Yeah.
it's like, but it's so dangerous.
Gavin
to go
Newsom
outside.
at the French Laundry.
Yeah. So it's not that dangerous anymore, right?
If it really was dangerous, okay, I mean, just, follow the logic here. If this was really going to kill every third person, kind of a thing, which, hey, I give everybody 2 weeks of amnesty, right? Or maybe a month I give them to look around and go, wait a second, bodies aren't stacking up in the streets. The hospitals were empty. They weren't filled.
But they were saying that they were stacking
They were
up
lying.
the bodies.
They were lying, yes. And they created disruptions and things like that also made it seem like that, right? Because if you shut down mortuaries, if you disrupt supply chains and you can't get certain things to, do what you need to do, they can create the appearance of that stuff. And they did that in some ways. But we all saw with our own eyes, we had in our own families, oh yeah, I got sick for a few days. I had COVID. It was terrible, and I'm over it now. We saw that over and over again. It got the people who had comorbidities, the very weak. That's like a flu or anything else. You have that. You have pandemics happen. Those things exist, but they pushed us hard, created fear,
and they divided us.
And then they divided us, and then they took away freedoms under the idea that they're providing us security and safety.
So their main idea is to divide us, to cause chaos. But do they think that they can stop it? They can control it? They can't.
No, I mean that's where their hubris comes in. They are arrogant, so they believe that they can, right? And to a certain extent, it's possible, right? And we've seen a lot of that. Like if we did not have guns in this country, they would be able to do. This is why the Second Amendment is important.
But you don't have a gun. For instance, they say you can't have a gun.
Oh, they're
but cartel members,
yeah,
the gang members, they have
for sure.
a lot of ammo.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, no, again, that's that anarcho-tyranny. The criminals will have those resources, but the law-abiding citizens won't. So then we're at the mercy of our governors. We're at the mercy of our rulers. We're at the mercy of the state. And that's what we saw during this time. And a lot of people, thankfully, started waking up and not playing ball. I mean, our church stayed open. Our church got fined. We fought the government and won.
Here in Cali?
Here in California, just up the street in Newbury Park, California. Godspeak Church. Rob McCoy, made expressly for this time. That guy was gifted and designed for times such as these, and he stayed open bravely, super courageously. Damn the torpedoes, whatever comes my way, I'll go to jail. And we had, John MacArthur and a few others, did the same thing afterwards. But, we stayed open and we resisted and we were willing to be arrested. They can't stand that. They don't want those people.
Bryce, I'm still shocked that there are a lot of people that can't see the truth. For instance, when they told you that the virus is so dangerous you can't go outside, right?
Right.
It's too dangerous for you to go outside. It's too dangerous for you to go to the cinema theaters, gym. Anyway,
they blocked the trails around our neighborhood, and they put little stanchions to block it, that you couldn't walk our trails. Every time I saw those, and I was not alone because they'd always be in the bushes, we would take them and sling them off the side of the mountain.
Yeah, but at the same time, liquor stores were open.
Yeah, strip clubs too.
You can't go to a church, but you can go to a strip club.
Yeah.
Do they own those strip clubs?
Well, but she was wearing a mask. She was wearing a mask.
What about you?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, okay, remember, the idea is upending things, right? The idea is why don't they want you to go to the gym or churches? Okay, well, that's where...
You become stronger, physically and mentally.
And that's also, right, where collective strength of community develops too. Right? They do not want you to foment rebellion against the regime. They want you to be at home, on your Zoom computer, ordering in from Uber Eats.
And they will give you money for that. They did.
Right. And they did.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
And that backlashed on them.
Yeah.